All right, good afternoon. Pete Paciorek has been involved in coaching and mentoring athletes for the past 25 years. As a previous professional baseball player for 9 years, Pete knows what it takes to succeed in the athletic arena as well as in life. Pete has helped hundreds of amateur athletes advance their careers to the next level as a previous head instructor and varsity head coach for the baseball at IMG Academy, as well as a collegiate head coach at Principia College. However, Pete's emphasis with youth and high-level athletics has always had character development as the highest priority. Please welcome Mr. Pete Paciorek.
First off, thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Raz, and thank you, Colonel Passmore, as well as President Mollahan for inviting me out here today. This is a true honor for me. This is my first opportunity to speak at a military institute in front of cadets. Most of my talks I get a chance to do are with student athletes. How's that volume? Is that better? With collegiate or high school student athletes, parents, coaches. So this is my first opportunity to get a chance to share a little bit about my passion for character development with you all as cadets here at Marion Military Institute. So thanks so much for letting me spend a little bit of time with you all. So my topic today is obviously on character development, and as I researched on the history, the great history, the wealth of history here at MMI, and Coach and Lieutenant Colonel Raz was sharing with me the core principles of truth, honor, and focus. As I thought more about those, I thought how relevant those are to everything that I'm trying to emphasize with the young people that I have a chance to mentor and model. And I'll share a little bit more about my nonprofit that I started, as well as my coaching background. But I love this quote here from Clifton Talbert, and I think it ties into what we're going to talk about today, or what I'm going to emphasize today, is unselfishness is the currency of community. And from what I've learned over the last day and a half here at MMI, getting to meet different people, whether it's the cadets, the coaches, the president, the commandant, is that it really is about the community. And it's about serving the world and establishing habits for life that are going to help all of you be successful. And some of you might not fully appreciate it now, but I can guarantee you in 2 years, in 5 years, and 10 years down the road, you will really appreciate the foundation that you're getting. And I've had a chance to coach a couple players who have gone on to West Point. One went to West Point, another went to the Naval Academy, and I love visiting those academies, service academies, or military institutes, and the formation that you all did before lunch. I get fired up, and I know you all do that every day, but I just get this sense of pride and inspiration for our country when I see you all doing that, lining up in formation, and it's just so professionally done, and so I commend you on that. You might not get it now as far as how this is helping you establish habits for the rest of your life, and ways of doing things and discipline, but it definitely is. And so today I'm going to talk about unselfishness. I'm going to talk about knowing yourself, uplifting other people, and how those tie into your core principles here at Marion Military Institute with truth, honor, and focus. Okay, so before I really get into some of the content, this is one of my former players, and I've coached 30, I lost track after 30, but 30 to 40 young men who have gone on to play baseball and accomplish their childhood dream of playing Major League Baseball at the highest level. And I know there's quite a few baseball players in here, and a lot of other athletes of different sports, softball, and a lot of other sports as well. And I love how you're a cadet first, you're a student second, and then you're an athlete third. And I think that's the priorities in the right order there. But this is a young man that I coached at IMG Academy, and he was a great student. His baseball participation, he was a very good baseball player, a shortstop. named Dave Santos from Valdosta, Georgia, and one of the just kindest, hardworking, best teammates that I've ever had a chance to coach. And his baseball helped him get into West Point, and he went there. And after a year, he realized, you know what, he didn't want to. He loved baseball, but he wanted to graduate at the top of his class, and he wanted to excel academically and socially and in leadership opportunities. So he stopped playing baseball. And out of the 30 or 40 individuals who I've coached who have gone on to major leagues, he's the individual who I'm probably the most proud of. His career path, he's currently stationed in Oahu, and he's a platoon leader over there, and he's preparing himself, and someday he hopes to commander a platoon overseas or to protect our country. I just couldn't be any more proud of the growth that he's had. I think sport and the military have a lot of overlap, but any of you who have served or intend to serve, my hat goes off. I have the utmost respect for anybody who's served our country and your family members who have served our country, so thank you so much for that. But I'm just so proud of Dave and the growth that he's made, his leadership, his courage, all those qualities in character that I'm going to talk about today. So here's kind of the game plan for today. I'm going to share a little bit about my own leadership journey. Hopefully you're not going to feel like I'm preaching at you, and hopefully many of you can relate to what I'm sharing. But I'm going to share 3 personal stories that I think relate really well with your core values of truth, honor, and service. And words that I'm going to use as well are authenticity. I know all generations, but especially your generation, authenticity is so important to you, to know that people are authentic and true to who they are, and they really care about you as individuals. And just from spending a day and a half at the Institute here, I can tell you have so many wonderful mentors and models of character that are here on campus that you can learn from, you can draw from, as well as from each other. But authenticity is so important, and then accountability. And having accountability. And sometimes you might feel like, oh, why is that person always on me? Well, you know what? They're on you because they care about you and they love you and they want to see you be successful. So accountability, and then action alignment. And I know there's a hot term right now is the term of grit. And a lot of people think of grit only as a physical attribute or a physical quality, but it's more of a discipline in your head. It's more of a mental approach to how you go about your day, how you treat people, how you show up on a daily basis on time. And these are all habits and character values and virtues that are being cultivated here on a daily basis at MMI. I have a couple of my players. I'm a high school baseball coach out in St. Louis, as well as my other full-time job and running my nonprofit as well. And I already can think of 2 baseball players that I'm hoping will at least consider coming down here to play ball, and then as well as my own children. But and then I'm going to share a framework called the Primed Framework that I think everybody in this room, regardless of where you've been and what you've done, I think it's something that is easy to remember. And when we talk about being a better person on a daily basis, and I loved when I came in here this morning and I saw that quote from Aristotle, who's somebody that I'm doing a doctoral program in character education and servant leadership, and a lot of the principles are rooted in the philosophy of Aristotle, of finding ways to daily grow in your own character. And it's something that I'm working to do. And so I use this primed framework myself every day to stay true to who I am, to be authentic to who I am, and stay locked in to my purpose. And it's just a nice little acronym to help me get my day started on the right note. So I try to do that every morning. I have to admit, I don't do it as well as I should every morning because I'm rushing around, but it's something that I think all of you, everybody in this room, could learn something from. Okay, so I have 3 questions. I'm not going to have you share this outwardly or turn to our neighbor or anything like that. I like doing that, but in this setting, I'm not going to ask you to do that. But I would like you to consider these 3 questions. So who are you on the inside? What qualities, all of us do some self-reflection. What qualities do you represent? What virtues, what character values do you see in yourself? Just take a few seconds to think about that. Sometimes silence is golden. I rush myself a little bit, but I want to make sure I give you time to think about that. Okay, next question. Who are you on the outside from your own perspective? Who are you? How does that come out on the outside as far as your character and your virtues? And then the third question here, who are you in the eyes of those who know you? Your fellow cadets, your teammates, your professors, your coaches, your parents, etc. Okay, and then to follow up on that, I said 3 questions, really 4. Do these align? And I'm not going to make you raise your hand or anything, but if these don't align, you should work on getting these in alignment, because I'm going to talk about authenticity here, and we all value authenticity, being true to who you are, people that you interact with. You can tell. I think you all have a BS meter. If somebody's not true to who they are, you can tell. And so if who you are on the inside is not reflected outwardly, and then people that you know who truly know you, some people might think they know you, but they don't. But of those people who know you, who are close to you, and it's not in alignment, then that's hard to live every day. That's a hard way to go about life. And I get sometimes when you're younger, even in high school, students, they have a hard time being authentic because they're trying to be cool, or they're trying to fit in. But that's hard. That's a hard way to go through life, not being authentic to who you are. So my recommendation to all of you is to think about these and who am I? Who do I want to be? What character values do I want to embody? And how can I manifest those on the outside so people can see those? Because it's a lot easier to live your life when those values, when these 3 questions are all lined up. So I've collaborated with one of the largest character organizations in the country. It's called Character Plus in Missouri, and then in where I live, and then character.org across the country. And they shared a really nice little handout. Obviously, in this setting, I'm not going to, if we were doing smaller groups or something, potentially we could spend some time filling that out. I'm going to leave these with Lieutenant Colonel Raz, and if any of you have interest in it, you can get a copy of it. It's just something to help you better understand you and see how you can get in alignment with who you are inside and who you are on the outside. Okay, so my first story, I told you I'm going to share 3 stories. My dream growing up, since I was 5 years old, was I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. I loved it. I loved going out and playing. This is a picture of me in my Dodgers uniform. Off to the right, that's actually my son. I was looking for an old picture of me from my Little League days. I couldn't find one because we recently moved. But that's my son, and he shares look at that smile on his face. I mean, he shares the exact same passion for baseball as I do. And I'm going to share a story with you, and I think it ties into your first core value of truth and authenticity, being true to who you are. So when I was playing, I got drafted by the San Diego Padres when I was 18 years old, just turned 19 years old, and I was living out my childhood dream of being a professional baseball player and working my way to become a major leaguer. And I was with the Padres at that time. And a couple years in, I was having good success. I was moving up in the minor leagues. And then I got to a point where I was getting pretty close. And I had multiple trainers in the organization, the major league organization, that said, "Hey, Petey," they called me Petey back then. They said, "Petey, if you got on steroids, you would be in the major leagues." And I played during the 90s, mid-90s, early 2000s, when steroids were very rampant. A lot of people were taking steroids, and they were cheating. They were shortcutting. They were looking for shortcuts. And I know here at MMI, the staff here and you as cadets, holding each other accountable to doing the right thing, it's awesome. That's why I'd love for my children to go to a school like this. And for me, the way I was raised, and I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else. I'm not saying that I'm better than my teammates who maybe did do steroids, but what I am saying is I had strong mentors in my life, and I felt really grateful that I did as I reflect back and as I was thinking about being here in front of you. This is just awesome for me. I just love being here with you all and sharing a little bit of my story, and it was not even a hesitation. I never even once considered it, even though they said, basically they were telling me, you're not good enough to make it on your own, but if you did steroids and you cheated yourself, you cheated your family, you cheated the people who helped raise you to be who you are, it didn't even cross my mind because of how I was raised. And so being true to myself and authentic to myself, I said no. And I obviously haven't shared that story. My son wouldn't understand that, but one thing, and sometimes you're going to face situations where you want something so badly, and there's a shortcut out there. It's a shortcut. Stay true to who you are. Be true to who you are, and in the end, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off for you. I don't think I could be standing here in front of 300 cadets at MMI and sharing my story with you had I have cheated, had I have cut corners. I don't think I could be here today. I'm not saying that nobody's going to make mistakes, because we all make mistakes, and I've made plenty of mistakes. So that's a story I wanted to share with you, is as you're chasing your dreams, be true to who you are. As you're in your, you're with your friends, you're in your classes, be true to who you are. So important. I love the logo, too, the Marion Maid logo. That's terrific. So the next story I'm going to share with you is about a teammate of mine, and I think this goes to the idea of honor. I think this speaks to the second core value of honor. So I had a teammate who we played together in the San Diego Padres organization for 4 years, and I'm not going to give his name away, but we called him Chavi. And Chavi was a great guy. Wonderful guy, talented athlete, strong, just great individual. Great to be around. Well, throughout his professional baseball career, he got in a habit of drinking. And sometimes professional athletes, they'll do that. And he never hurt anybody, never did anything like that. But after about 5 years, his baseball career came to an end. And he had established a habit of going out almost every night and drinking. And so that's why I love the fact that you all are here and you have mentors and you have rules and you have accountability systems in place to assure that you're living your life the way you're supposed to be living your life. And I'm trying not to be here to preach to you, but my friend, one of my closest friends from professional baseball, Chavi, he's locked up in New Mexico State Penitentiary because when he was about 25 years old, professional baseball career is over, he's out drinking at a bar because that's what he got used to doing. That was a habit he had established of going out and drinking. And he was drunk one night, drove home, 2 a.m, he hit somebody, killed somebody, fled the scene. He didn't even know he hit him, fled the scene. He was chased down by a highway patrol officer down the road, and he's still in state penitentiary. He had 2 children who don't have a father figure in their life, and he's locked up, and he shouldn't be locked up in a state penitentiary. That's not the type of person he was. And so the reason why I bring this up when I talk about honor is you have an honor code here, obviously, and holding each other accountable. The Commandant, Lieutenant Colonel Raz, President Mollahan, when things come to their office or their attention, it's way after the fact, and sometimes it's too late to do anything to help that individual. But you as cadets, you know what's going on. I've been a coach for 25 years. My players know what's going on with the culture of my team long before it ever gets to me. Because we're adults and we're older and we just, you connect with each other. And so I'm not blaming myself for my friend being in state penitentiary, but I think to myself, what could I have done? What could I have done to help him not realize that he didn't have to go out and get drunk every night? I think I could have done more. And I'm not beating myself up, but as a friend, as a teammate, as a cadet, I think that's a responsibility, and it's something that I should have done a better job of that. And so, like I said, I don't blame myself for it, but I wish I could do more. So right around that time was when I started my nonprofit, because I wanted to say, you know what, I want to make an impact in people's lives. And I feel like I had been as a coach. But that's a story, I think, about accountability. And I think all of you, and you probably have an adult mentor in your life, but I think here for your 2-year experience at MMI, and maybe you already have this in place, but an accountability partner. Somebody who's going to not just be loyal to you do something wrong and they don't want to act like a snitch or anything like that, but somebody who's going to help you raise your bar. Someone who's going to see you doing things that you can confide in, you can be honest with and say, you know what, I don't want to do this. Can you help hold me accountable? And it would be great if each of you had somebody like that. And that's a recommendation I would have for all of you, is to have that accountability partner who, when you know you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, they know you shouldn't be doing it, that they're going to have the courage, the moral courage to say, hey, that's not who you are. That's not who you want to be. That's not your authentic self. And that's why I wanted you all to go through that exercise of thinking, who are you on the inside? Who are you on the outside? And how do other people see you? Authenticity is so important. So I think this connects well, and I wanted to share that little personal story with you all about my friend Shadi. And I think about myself, and I think about where I am in my life, and the opportunities I have to hopefully impact positively people's lives. And I think about in my life, my mom, and I wasn't planning on sharing this. So if I get a little weepy, I hope I don't, because I've never shared this publicly. But my mom passed away when I was 12 years old, and I was a total mama's boy. I grew up with a big family, 8 brothers and sisters, and I was right in the middle. And my mom, who I am today, she would be proud of me right now, looking down on me, knowing that I'm here at Marion Military Institute, getting a chance to hopefully impact some lives in a positive way. And like I said, I'm getting choked up right now, because I've never talked about my mom publicly. But the influence she's had in my life, along with my wife, is probably the most impactful. I had wonderful coaches. I was coached by Tommy Lasorda, who was a legendary Major League Baseball coach for the Dodgers. But the two most impactful people are my wife, who holds me accountable, and we hold each other accountable, and my mom, who I only had in my life until I was about 11 or 12 years old. So if you have a mom in your life, send her a text, or if you get a chance to see her, give her a kiss and tell her how much you love her, because nothing better than moms. But I think I am who I am today because of the influence my mom's had in my life. So this is one of my favorite stories, and this is my third and last story here. So this young man right here his name is Glentavius, but he goes by Tay. And I got a chance to have lunch with some of the athletes of some of the different teams just a little bit ago, and so I shared a little bit about Tay. But I love this quote. Before I get to my story, I love this quote by Jackie Robinson. I grew up in Pasadena, California, so Jackie Robinson is the first African-American to play Major League Baseball back in the 60s, and the courage that it took for him and the impact he made on society and the civil rights movement and just the growth of our society because of his courage. And so it takes grit. It takes aligning your values with your actions, that your actions align with your values. And so, a lot of times I hear people say, well, coach, how come such and such player, teammate is late, or where is he? I don't know. I'm not my brother's keeper. And that drives me nuts when I hear that. It's like, yeah, you are. This is you care about your fellow cadets. You care about your family. You're developing habits that are going to allow you to be successful as a dad, as a mom, as a business partner. And these things, these character values, and these virtues that are going to take you so far in life. And so you should take pride in being your brother or your sister's keeper and helping them raise their bar and elevate who they are, and it's going to elevate yourself. So I'm going to share a quick story about Tay. So when I started my nonprofit, it's called Character Loves Company, and I have a little website. You can check it out. But I do a lot of work with inner city youth, and a lot of times, a lot of the youth don't have a strong male role model. I have an 8-week and a 12-week character curriculum that I work through with the students. They're usually 8th grade, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. So at the Boys and Girls Club down in Bradenton, Florida, Tay was in my very first. I had just started my nonprofit. I was so excited. I thought I was all ready to go, and it was going to be great, and it was going to, go off without a hitch. And so my first day, I'm in there, and I'm doing my program, introducing myself, and Glentavius is in the back, and he's giggling, and he's seeming to be disrespectful. So the session is about an hour and a half, goes fairly well, and I go home, and my wife asks me, she says, "Pete, how'd it go?" And I said, "Oh, it was good. I think it went well. I think I impacted some people." Some young people, and look forward to going back next week. But there was one student who was just seemingly so disrespectful, and he was giggling, and he was distracting others. And so I told my wife this, and this goes back to accountability. I said, "I think I'm just going to ask the Boys and Girls Club director to not have him be part of the program." And she looked at me, and she paused, and she goes, "Okay, so I guess you're not going to impact that person's life ever." And she held me accountable, right? I mean, that's my wife. Like, that's outstanding. That's the type of spouse that you want. Somebody who's going to know your goals, know your dreams, and they're going to hold you accountable. So she smacked me across the face right there and said, "You're not going to impact that person." So I said, "Okay, I got to show some grit, some determination, and not give up on this young person, this young man." So week 3, so I pulled Glentavius aside, Tay, before the next session. I said, "I'd love for you to be in this program about developing character. I see some potential in you, but I need you to be more respectful, and you were giggling and distracting." And so I held him accountable, and he responded amazingly. So often, if you give that individual a chance to elevate and raise themselves, and you're uplifting them, they'll step up. They'll step up to that level that they should be at. So by week 3, Tay was holding the door for me. Couldn't wait till I'd get there. He was outstanding. He was the Character Loves Company Character Performer of the Week a couple times, just engaged and learning. He had previously been cut from his high school football team, not because he wasn't talented, but because of his character. Disrespectful, late to practice, all kinds of things like that, talking back to coach. He confided in me and said, "Gosh, coach, I wish I would have had this program a few months ago, because I got cut from my high school football team, which I love football, because of my attitude, because of my character." So it ends up, he was pretty darn close to being kicked out of the Boys and Girls Club. So after school, as a 9th grader, he would have had nowhere to go. He would have just been out on the streets. And so he ended up, the director of the program at the Boys and Girls Club told me a few months later that Tay was the top youth performer, and that's his picture. So I came in and took a picture with him. But you can see his picture in the background of the youth of the month. And so holding each other accountable, believing in each other, staying true to your own, to your purpose, to your goals is so important as far as you continue to cultivate and grow in your own character, in your own virtues. So I ask you to be your cadets, your roommates, be their brother, be their sister, and help raise their bar. So what I want to do here lastly, I have only a couple more slides here, is, sorry about that. I don't know where that slide went, but it's okay. So this is a model that I've learned, and I use this on a daily basis when I wake up in the morning. And maybe some of you will want to do it. You might not want to, it's fine. But it's called the primed model for character development. And my mentor in my doctoral program in servant leadership, he came up with this, and he wrote a book about this, and it applies to academic education. And I'm working in my dissertation for my doctoral degree. I'm working on applying this to sport. But I love what this acronym stands for, the primed model. So priming yourself for your day when you start your day, or maybe even before you go to bed at night. But firstly, and it goes back to my questions to you all about being authentic, what is your purpose? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? And so your noble purpose and prioritizing growing in your character, a willingness to grow in your character daily. And then the R stands for relationships. Are you building relationships here at MMI? Are you building stronger relationships with your friends at home, with your family members, and building those relationships of trust? The I stands for being intrinsically motivated. I know sometimes I can imagine at a college or at a military institute, Sometimes you do things because of the reward that comes from it. Instead, if you truly want to grow in your character and be more virtuous and be better propped up to be successful down the road in life and lead a meaningful life, looking for intrinsic motivation, not looking for those extrinsic motivation. Oh, well, if I do this, do I get my own room? Or what do I get because of it? Because I step up as a leader here at the Institute. Are you doing it for intrinsic reasons to help yourself grow and then to take that platform of leadership to make others better? Or are you using it to get perks? You get better meals, you get better this, you get better that. So I challenge you there, and I challenge myself with this every day is, what is my motive? Why am I doing this? Why did I want to come here to talk to you all? For intrinsic reasons, not for anything for myself. Modeling of behavior, and you have wonderful role models here. I got a chance to spend time with, like I said, the president, and I looked at this picture of President Mollahan over here, and he's got so many medals and and service hours in war, and I mean, just amazing. And you got Commandant Passmore here, and you've got so many wonderful mentors as teachers, as educators, as coaches that you can look up to. So capitalize on that. But you can also be that model. Maybe you have a little sibling at home who's acting up and causing grief and causing havoc for your parents. Maybe you can take some extra time and you can be a great mentor and role model. Because I guarantee you, if my son was here, he would look up to every single one of you. So you all, just being part of this institution, such a prestigious, great history here at Marion Military Institute, is just being here alone. You're a role model to other people. Maybe your classmates in high school. You're a role model to them, I guarantee you. The E stands for empowering and uplifting others. I always look for opportunities in my coaching. I coached for 25 years. I played professional baseball. When I first got into coaching, it was a little bit more of my way or the highway. But now I try to empower my captains. I try to empower others on my team with leadership opportunities. And I know that a lot, in talking to Lieutenant Colonel Raz, there's a lot of wonderful opportunities for all of you here at MMI to have those opportunities to be empowered to lead and grow in your leadership. And then the D stands for development long-term. So how are you developing long-term? And character doesn't come like that. It's about establishing habits and the way you go about your life on a daily basis. So working through that primed model, if you can remember that, it's an easy thing to remember. But I recommend try it for a week. Try it for a week and see if it helps you stay focused. It's helped me a lot. I've been doing it now for the last 3 months or 4 months now, and it really has helped me personally grow and stay connected to who I want to be instead of getting sidetracked. So this is my last slide here, and then we'll go to Q&A if any of you have questions for me. But as I said before, just really honored to be here. First time getting a chance to talk, and I have to admit I was a little nervous coming up here because of just the prestige of this institution, how professional you all look, how engaged you all look. I'll tell you what, this is, you're all leaning in and engaged, and I really appreciate that as somebody on stage here talking and you're reading body language and nice. It's nice to see people nodding, and it's nice to see you all engaged in what it is that I'm sharing, because hopefully my message will resonate. So going back to your core values of truth, honor, and service, I think you're establishing habits for the rest of your life here, and you might not understand it now, you might not get it now, you might not fully appreciate it, but I guarantee in 10 years you're going to be reaching out to the teachers, to the commandant, to the colonels, the different staff members, and really thanking them down the road because you're going to be in such a advantageous position when you go to a 4-year university over so many other students. And I love this mindset of I can. And when I think about my nonprofit, and I shared this with, I think, Drake. Is Drake? I know Drake's in here somewhere. Where's Drake? I met Drake. There's Drake up there. Drake, how you doing, buddy? I met Drake, and he shared a little bit about his passion. And I told him, I said, I waited till I was 40 years old to start my nonprofit, which is one of the most impactful things I've done in my life. But I had it in my heart from when I was 20 years old. It's something I wanted to do when I was 20 years old. It took me 20 years to have the courage to actually do something. It was hard. I went in there, I'm thinking, these kids aren't going to listen to me and all this, but just keep coming back and keep loving them and keep giving to them. and it's my passion. And so Drake wants to do something similar to that, and I told him, I said, don't wait until you're 40 years old, do it now. Start being that person of impact now. And I would do little things, but I never really stepped up boldly and said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to invest some money in this. My wife's got my back, and we're going to do this. And it's really been something that's uplifted me, and it's been something that I really am proud of. So having that mindset of I can, and I think that through a military institute, you're all getting that put into you every day, that you can do more than you think you can. The Lieutenant Colonel Raz took me by the tower, and I'm sure I could ask you to raise your hand. How many of you, when you got up on that tower the first day or a few days you were here, were a little bit nervous to rappel down that tower? Anybody admit that they were a little bit nervous? I'd be nervous going down that thing. Okay, I see some hands coming up. But putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and then realizing, I can do that. I didn't think I can do that, but I can do that, and I did it. And you're getting that on a daily basis here. It's really is priceless. You're all primed to make a huge impact in the world. I would just say go out and don't wait. Don't wait around to be that person of impact. Establish those habits now. You got great accountability mentors here who are going to hold you accountable. I know they're going to hold you accountable, and you might not appreciate it when you're in that moment. But I'm just, like I said, I'm honored to be here, and I hope you guys took something from my stories and my growth, and I'm still continuing to learn and continuing to grow, and I've learned a lot just from you all here in the last day and a half. So thank you for your time and attentiveness.
All right, thank you, Pete, for that. We're going to open up for questions now. Does anybody have a question? Come on. I know there's at least one or two. All right, I'll start it off. So, Pete, have you ever had a situation to where you had one of your players make a decision where it was that affected him longer than we thought it would affect him?
Yeah, thank you for that. So I coached at I was the head coach at one of the most prestigious sports academies in the world, and I'm not going to say the name, and I have a lot of friends there, and I really respect the place. But I had a player who was doing something he shouldn't have been doing, and it broke the honor code at any school. And because this individual was so talented, and you see this a lot of times when you watch professional athletics or even high-level Division I athletics, sometimes these superstars, they can get away with things, they're allowed to get away with things that they shouldn't be allowed to. And I know here at MMI, it doesn't matter what your GPA is, how hard you can throw a fastball, whatever, how many free throws you can make, you're going to be held accountable, and everybody's going to be held to the same standard. So when I was at this school, this academy, I had a player who was supposed to be the very first pick in the Major League Draft, $10 million. They were going to give this young man, $10 million, Major League Baseball, because that's what the first pick in the draft would get. And so I told my boss, I said, I'm going to bench him he's a pitcher. I'm going to bench him because I need him to learn that he can't be acting this way. He broke the core values. And they said, well, you can't do that because if you do that, there's usually 100 Major League scouts back there with radar guns. And so so for me, I realized that was, the time for me to move on, because as a coach, discipline is so important. And you all as cadets, when somebody's doing something they shouldn't be doing. Like I said before, way before anybody else knows. The staff knows. And so this young man, he had this habit, and because he really wasn't held accountable, the word got out to the major league teams, and he dropped from being what would have been the very first pick in the draft to being the 11th pick in the draft. So he's still a first-round draft choice. He still got a lot of money, but it wasn't $10 million. It might have been $3 million, I think it was. But he was done playing baseball in 2 years. He was out of baseball. Didn't get to the highest level because of the habits that he had established. And it goes back to my friend Chavi, same thing. So if you're out doing things you shouldn't be doing, eventually you're going to have to start to fall in line and do things the right way. Otherwise, you're going to end up with negative ramifications. So to answer your question, Raz, yeah, he missed out on a lot of money, and his career was, I mean, he could be pitching on TV in the major leagues right now, living a great life, and I don't know what happened to him, but I know he's not playing baseball anymore.
All right. Any questions from the core? All right, no questions? All right, well, thank you, Pete. We appreciate it. I'd like to call up the BC and Sergeant Major. Come on up here. We have something to give you.
Thank you, sir. What's your first name? Joseph, good to meet you. Daniel, good to meet you. Oh, in the middle?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, yeah, another round.
Thank you, everybody.